Just briefly on Oahualoa. There are 2 Hawaiians now in Waimea that have filed suit against the state, DLNR, for the state's failure to protect the public trust lands, Crown and government lands, on PTA. It's being leased to PTA. It's being contaminated with a whole stew of toxins up there. You know, at 6,500 foot level, there's 14.8 million live rounds fired there annually. It's been going on for 60 or 70 years. Just the amount of lead in itself is enormous. It's eventually going to get into the groundwater. But on top of that, there's been chemical, biological weapons, and now depleted uranium, radiation weapons used there. Now, the state, it's a terrible thing when Hawaiians have to sue the state to protect the public lands. But I'm hoping that this whole thing can be reassessed with Oahualoa. If we were leasing our house to somebody and they were trashing it, we would say cancel the lease, evict them. And I think the leases need to be looked at, not given extensions on the leases to state land.
What you were talking about, what Joe was talking about. $360 million is a lot of money. We're not using money in the forest to build reservoirs or water cooperatives. We've been trying to work with water cooperative codes with ADC, it's called Agricultural Development Corporation. We all remember with PLDC that the legislature had proposed. And you know, I'm here to say on that level, 8 years we've been working at this thing. All the different respective politicians that are running in different districts are all claiming about they got money for this water cooperative in Kau, and there isn't any of the money that's gotten on the ground yet. But I don't think, you know, from being born and raised in Honolulu, the people in Oahu do not understand the District of Kau is the size of 2 Oahus. The District of Puna is the size of 1 Oahu. Why do they need to feed themselves by hunting, they say? Because we're so remote, there isn't the bus running past our house. We have to, and we were taught to do those things because there was no public transportation. Oahu is an island of the largest vulnerability in America. They just don't know it. And it's hard on the state level because the counties are the ones that upzone the agriculture and the water. You notice 2 things. When kids go to lunch at schools, he's a teacher, other people are educators. You see how exciting, how much noise in the cafeteria there is? Because food creates excitement with human beings. When we go through tragedies like Giselle and this other thing going on, Aiona, what do you see at the stores? People always are thinking about me. The whole shopping cart is full with water, as much as they can take. Water bottles is what they take. But yet we don't put that in the forefront of water and food supply. But in the storm, you know, they tell you, prepare. It's your kid. I am the kid. I am the job. I don't need to go put together a kid. You know what I mean? That's the fundamentals of society's needs. Toilet paper, you can use TV. But you gotta have water. Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry. I gotta leave pretty soon, but as a outdoorsman, as a hunter, I'm from Honolulu. Growing up in Honolulu, you've seen the progress of buildings and stuff, yeah. And in this meeting, we're talking about invasive species, and we always talk about plants, animals, all these things being invasive. And really, if you look at the whole scale of things, and I said this in one of the meetings in Kau, the biggest invasive species we have here is humans. Yeah, we build, in Honolulu, you see they're building up into the hills, into the mountains. Then they turn around and say, I gotta eradicate these pigs because they're coming in my yard and busting up my nice garden that I just made out there. Really, you building into their home. Yeah, so now you become the invasive species. And really what you see happening over here now is pretty much the same thing. You get these guys coming in, trying to fence up areas, taking away areas from people and being the invasive species. What they have planned for those lands, I don't know. water, maybe water, farming. I doubt farming, but whatever they're trying to do by taking all this land, you can almost see that they're taking it for their own agenda, not for everybody's agenda, not for the people of Hawaii, not the people of this island. They have it for their agenda, and they are the invasive species. The animals that live on the land, they've been there for thousands of years, you know? They've been there. I work for the fire department. We used to like seeing goats, cattle, whatever in the wildland area, because they keep them down. They keep the plants down, and we don't need to worry about brush fires. So, you know, the biggest invasive species is humans. That's the biggest ones. And these guys coming in and fencing up land. I would actually like to see everything to just stay the way it is. Stop fencing land. We're doing all right how we are right now. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. We need areas for our generations to come, our children, our grandchildren, all our generations to come. They're gonna miss out on all this stuff. I already miss out from my generations before me. Yeah. Honolulu, to be honest, when I go home, 2 days over there, I come back home. I come back over here. It's just like going to the mainland. You're driving on the roads, just like you're driving in California already. So, you know, it's just kind of crazy the way they're just taking away stuff from us. Thank you.
Just one small one. You know, to answer your question as far as where they're going with this, I want you to consider the big picture. And the big picture is basically this. When we started working with the Natural Area Reserve guys, that was Bill Starman, that was during the early 90s and stuff. And we started, you know, finding out what were their plans. Fence up a little bit section over here, a bit over here. Okay, we could help them as hunting to pick hunters of Hawaii. But in essence, what they wanted was the whole contour of the mountain areas and stuff like that, which had those plants, and namely the ecosystem within where the plants existed, okay, or where the birds exist. That's what they want. So that we looked at it as a cancer that was eventually going to spread all the way to now. And then more and more lands. If you look at where NARS was back in the early 90s to where it is now, it's a consummation of land mass, okay, for whatever reason. And the whole idea behind this is to create what is called a biosphere. In other words, the whole entire island, if they could, the goal is to get back to pre-existence, to pristine conditions. And it means eradicating not only invasive species, man as well. If they could, all the tar that's on this island, all the buildings that's on this island would be removed. And all the species that was before then would be regenerated here on these islands. This is not a NARS thing. This is not DLNR thing. This is not a state thing. It's not even Department of Interior. It's a total global thing. It's an international thing where you don't know, there's unlimited funds coming in. And you don't know what's happening with those funds? It's not from our government. This is stuff that's outside that's coming in. So we're being attacked. Our means of survival is our culture. You know, if you say that, oh, only the Hawaiians can go. Once the Hawaiians get in, what's good for the Hawaiians is good for everybody else. I tell you that right now. Fight with your culture. You're going to try science, they're going to eat you alive. Fight with your culture. And that is something that Stephen Aruz taught me when we first started out. Is, yeah, we can do it. We can show them this, you know, all the different, stuff that was written up, you know, bibliographies and all that kind of stuff that we can use. Hey man, you're going to lose with science because we're not credible. You know what I'm saying? But we're credible when it comes to our culture. When we win with the Hawaiian culture, then and only then will you be able to bring everything else in. That Constitution, the 12-7, will help us, you know, be able to defeat this. Maybe in a small way, maybe we're just creating another wounded knee, you know, or trail of tears, like the Native Americans did. But eventually we can succeed. So,
I hate to be the bad person, summarize what I believe you all are saying. And like I said, I've had discussions with these two gentlemen over here earlier, and some of their members, and I think they represent you guys very well. Very articulate. I think they're well learned. They study the problems, and what's most compelling for me is that they're basically the practitioners. I'm not a hunter. I'm not a fisherman, but I am Native Hawaiian, and I am born and raised here. And I know what it is to, I wouldn't say you live off the land, but I know what the Aiona is all about. I know what the ocean is all about. And I didn't say I grew up in the ocean, but I think anybody who's born and raised in Hawaii knows what that ocean is all about, knows what the mountains are all about, knows what the Ahupua'a system is all about. So that's innate in all of us. And I think that's an advantage that Elwin and I have. Not saying over our opponents, because they're also Kekeokaina, but we are Native Hawaiian, and that makes a difference in that respect. So what I hear is this, and this is another advantage that I have with my opponents. So as you all know, Elwin and I are judges, and one thing that we have learned in our profession, in our craft, as what they call jurists, is that the truth always is in between the advocates. In other words, this is why you have, let's say in a criminal case, why you have the prosecution and why you have the defense. And likewise in a civil case, you have the plaintiff and you have the defendant. Why? Because if it was just one-sided, you would never get the truth out. Right? One-sided, you never get the truth out. And that's kind of what I'm hearing over here. This is one-sided. And so as such, the truth will not get out because the other side is not represented. So in a criminal case, the judge will sit there and will give the prosecution the opportunity to present its case. The defense then has the opportunity to cross-examine, to ask questions. And what happens when you ask questions and you cross-examine? Well, more facts are exposed, right? More of the details come out. And then the defense gets to put on evidence if they want to put on evidence. And when they put on evidence, now the other side can ask questions, but what happens is now you see the truth. The truth starts to come out. And that's exactly what's happening right here. You guys are not being represented, from what I can hear, in a right way. In other words, even if you had one voice, it seems like the deck is stacked. And that cannot happen, and that will not happen in my administration. That's the only kind of promise I can make to all of you guys, is that we'll make sure that it's level. And I told these two gentlemen this. I said, the thing that I will commit to with people like your association, etc., is that you will have a seat at the table. You will be well represented at the table. I want to make sure that everybody's represented and represented in a fair and equal way. That it's not one-sided, and that everybody's concerns are addressed. Now we got to understand that we have to come to agreement or compromise on some issues. And I think if you have the right people at the table, everybody's being heard, you're going to have that compromise that you need to have. And so, my only, I guess you could say, commitment to you, because I don't make any promises, is that you will have that opportunity. Now, this is what I will do, because I can't do it now. I can only do this once I'm elected. So once I'm elected, and you're not the only group that I've heard of that has rules on the table right now. In other words, where the process has been completed, there are rules to be signed by the governor. Once I get elected, November 5th, I am sending a letter out to the current administration. I'm going to ask them to please, put in abeyance and not sign any rules or anything else that is on their desk, because they are no longer going to be the administration in office. We are going to be the administration in office, and I want to take a fresh look at that. I don't want to be basically pressured and or saddled with something that was done at the last minute, just because that's the last thing I can do between now and December. So what happens is you get elected on November 4th, you get sworn in on the first Monday in December. So I don't become governor until that first Monday in December, but within that time period, the governor can sign off on all of these different bills. And there's many out there, believe me, you guys are not the only ones. So I want to make sure that we take a good look at it, that I get a fresh look at it. I think that's only fair. I don't know how you guys feel, I think that's fair.
Yes.
For me to come in and take a look at it, because we are in the administration. I have fresh eyes, I have already committed to a different type of administration that's currently been in place right now. And most importantly, the people who have basically, overseen this process and who are directing this process may no longer be in that commission, may no longer be in that position of authority, and as such, what happens? Policies change, right? Direction changes. And I think it's only fair that we have that opportunity to do that. And of course, like I said, everybody's at the table on this, and we go accordingly. I am all in favor of having Hawaii be self-sustaining in everything that we do. And I know for a fact that yes, we can be the producer of our own food. I know that. It's just doing it the right way, which we obviously have not done, but I think the reason for that is because of leadership and priorities. So, as somebody mentioned over here, a lot of issues you got on the table, right? And that's true. There's a lot of issues on the table. But leadership will make will basically put those priorities in order and get them done. Because that's what leadership is all about. And you just don't have it. So what you see from most administrations is that they'll pick and choose what they want to address. And for me, I want to address all of these issues that you have right now in this department, which we'll just call DLNR. And that's ag, and that's fishing, and that's hunting, and that's everything to do with our natural resources. And I can tell you right now, that is something that is very important to us because we are at that tipping point right now. I have said that I want to expand the economy, grow the economy through our naturally competitive industries. I've always said that diversified agriculture is one of our naturally competitive industries. That we should be, that should be an industry that we not only expand our economy with, but we help ourselves with. And so that's something that I think is so important. Our resources are the most important thing that we have in this island state of ours, right? Why? That's us. That's who we are. I mean, talk about tourism. What is tourism based on? Our beauty, our natural beauty. We can't even take care of our parks. We have some of the worst parks in the entire world, I think. Let's not talk about in the entire world. But we should have the most beautiful parks. Why? Why can't we take care of our beaches? We can't take care of our parks. We can't take care of all of that stuff. I don't know. You tell me. I think I know why. It's because we don't put that emphasis on it. This kind of now leads me into the prison thing. So you talk about the Hawaiians. Do I want to see 60% of the prisoners in our prisons Hawaiians? Absolutely not. Shouldn't be anybody for that matter. Okay? Should not be overrepresented like that. But I tell you one of the problems that we have. You ask, what can I do about that? I believe it's as fundamental as the families. We gotta go back to the families and actually we gotta educate them from when they're babies and make sure the families understand that. To me, that's the biggest thing we can do. But on top of that is basically what you all said in regards to how we can heal. People are there. I should know, right? I mean, I've been there. So I've been there as the judge who is taking somebody who's broken. I think you've heard me say this before, right? It's easier to build strong children than to fix broken adults, right? Easier to build strong children than to fix broken adults. So when I was in drug court, that's all I had. I had broken adults. And they were broken, man, for many years, if not generations. And I knew also as a family court judge that I had juveniles, I had young people that weren't quite broken yet. We had chance with them. If we could get those services into them and really work with their support system, which is their families. And so when people talk to me about that, they always say, okay, same-sex marriage, you're Christian. That's why you get same-sex marriage. I say, well, yeah, obviously it's my faith. But something more compelling makes me against that, and it stems from my experience as a family court judge. As a family court judge, you do what's called disposition, okay? You create the plan for the families to now become not dysfunctional anymore. Because when they come in front of you, everybody's saying, oh, this is a dysfunctional family. You got to help fix this dysfunctional family. And I look at that and I go, okay, so I'm supposed to have the magic wand that will say, okay, you're not dysfunctional anymore. I will tell you this, 90% of the time when you look at their history of this juvenile who's now in front of me, and I have to present the plan, when I look at their history, I look at what's the cause, what's the root of all of this, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be this. They either have one dad and no mom, or one mom and no dad, or one dad and several moms, or one mom and several dads, or nothing at all. I mean, that's it. Ask any judge that. Ask anybody that's involved in the system, they're going to tell you, yeah, that's pretty much the root of it, right there. I'm not saying that's the root of the problem. I'm saying that's at the root of this child being raised. And so what happens? All kinds of things go wrong. And that's why when we say we address homelessness by giving them a job and giving them a home, and don't worry, everything's going to be all right. That's not true. That's not true. There's so many underlying issues in regards to why people are homeless and how we can help them. Because that's just human nature. So likewise with our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated right now. And I know you guys presented that to me, and I was supportive at that time, and I will continue to be supportive. We will work together in the hope, because there's another department that came to me not too long ago and gave me their laundry list of everything that's wrong with DPS, right? And it starts from the administration to the facilities to programs to everything else. I look at that and I say, okay, this is something else that, is another challenge in front of us. And are we going to do it? Yes, we can. Absolutely we can. We got to get the right leadership in there. We got to get the priorities straight, and we can do it. I can tell you guys right now, it's not all about money, okay? Believe me, it's not all about money. Because I think right here is the greatest resource. All of you guys right here. Because you guys have the heart for it. So let's talk about enforcement, okay? I know for a fact that DLNR does not have enough law enforcement. And most of the problems that we're talking about is just about that, right? Enforcement, monitoring, etc. The poachers. I mean, why do you guys even go and get a license for? Nobody checks, right? The only guys that check is really you guys. You guys kind of police yourselves. So maybe we gotta change the system so we can police ourselves. We'll put the pressure on that way. Yeah, exactly. You gotta have the game. You're right. You gotta have the game. But obviously, these are the kinds of things that we gotta work on as a community. I mean, I've said this before in regards to homelessness, right? When I was growing up, and just to show you my age, so I think we're all about the same age. I'm 51. I'm gonna be 60. There were two things that I knew I could always, no matter what, no matter how stupid I got with my parents, right? I would always get a place to stay, and I would always have food. Right? Because auntie or uncle, somebody would take me in if I got stupid, right? And I ran away, which I did sometimes, right? And you never get too far. But anyway, you know how that goes, right? So we had that back then. Now what has changed along the way? So now I see homeless people all over the place. And we got some from the outside, okay? No doubt about that. But I still see some of the brothers and sisters out there who are homeless. Why? I mean, where did we as a society, where did we as a community, as Hawaiians and as just people who born and raised in Hawaii, where did we kind of leave it, We left it somewhere. And so, I know we're very proud people. We're proud people because we know we can take care of ourselves. We're independent people. We don't want to have handouts. That's just our nature. We can be self-sustaining and we should be self-sustaining. So, that's my commitment to all of you. That's the underlying thing. I've told these men that. I will be there with you guys. We will all have a seat. Now, not all of you, okay? Not all of you guys will be at the table. You got to have representatives, officers. And, like I said, these two gentlemen are very articulate. I'm very impressed with them. And my understanding is that you guys are a close-knit association. The hunters, the fishermen, etc. So, all islands. Yeah, all islands, exactly. All islands, yeah. So, when we get elected, I told them the process that I wanted to right now that I'm thinking about in selecting the department heads. So the chief of DLNR, who's right now will probably put a search committee together. We'll have a chair, we'll have some rules, and we'll take nominations. And you guys will obviously, like I said, have a seat at the table. With the conservationists, they gotta have a seat at the table too. But again, it's all about balance, right? So they're not gonna have 10, and you guys have 1. You guys not gonna have 10 and they're gonna have 1. Okay, it's gonna be balanced. And we'll work it out that way. Okay, so I hear you guys, and I hope you can embrace my analogy in regards to how we find the truth. And that's kind of my DNA and Elwin's DNA and how we look at things.
I think that's more than what we heard from the other part. Way more.
Anyway, I don't compare myself
Well,
with
it's not the comparing, but that's honesty from the heart. And I think that's all we can expect, is balance and fairness.
and that's all we can. Right?
Yeah.
We live in a world that should not not be complex, but it is complex.
It is.
Because, as you said, we make it complex. The invasive species. But we can't eradicate all the invasive species, okay? I mean, you know,
As you can hear.
nature will do that. Okay. Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, actually, you kind of left an open question, like where did we leave it? What happened when we no longer had that auntie down the street, or that uncle to pick us up, or tutu who would come and say, baby, come, or the stranger walking on the street, and we go, hooey, baby, come, you're hungry.
Yeah.
Because we left the optic, the view, the volition of the native, the OEV, and we changed our optic. And you can't fit a circle in a square. And so I ask you to look with optics. Because I'm actually your Ohana from Maui, Aloha.
Oh, really?
So that
You know, and not to cut you short, but that's my position, that's my platform on our native Hawaiians and their issues. And I got that in my platform. Go to my website, you'll see that. And I say that exactly how you said it. I will take an OEV perspective in regards to the issues in our Hawaiian community. And I think that's the advantage.
That's
that
all we
we
can
have.
ask for.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all I can do, right?
Thank you.
Because, you know, we're so splintered, right? I mean, let's be honest, the Hawaiian community is all over the place in regards to many issues. So I think what I need to do as a leader is try as best as I can to bring us together and have some consensus. Because I'm not going to get everybody to agree. And hopefully, with that OEV perspective, like you said, we can accomplish many things that we need to accomplish. So, I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited to be governor of the state of Hawaii. More so than I've ever been. Forget about everything that has happened in the past. Because when I come in, that's exactly the perspective that I'm going to take. I'm not going to rag on anybody. Maybe publicly. No, just joking. But I will not rag because that's only a waste of time. Right? I want to look what's happening now and move forward. And I believe that if we establish something, we take the roots in something that's strong and powerful. I don't care who comes in after us. It's going to be rooted. And as such, it'll stay. And that means everything that we're talking about here tonight. Okay? I look at this as 4 years. Okay, I want to do it in 4 years. We do a good job in 4 years. We get another 4 years. We make it even more rooted. So by the time I'm done in 8 years, it'll be for what? Our kiki, right? My grandkids, right? So I gotta tell you, my perspective has changed because I'm a brand new grandfather too. So I got my granddaughter's sights every time I feel down or I feel, like it's not possible. I just think about my granddaughter. I think about, I already ragged on her parents about bringing her into this world with no say, and now we gotta make sure that they have a hope, and they have a nice place to live. And so that's my whole perspective. Right? I got one season of life left, basically. The good Lord bless me. I got one season of life left. I want to make sure that I do something about it. So when I go up and I meet the Maker, I can at least have him say, okay, good job, my faithful servant. If not, then I got to look at him and say, well, I was like everybody else. As somebody said in one of our forums, you guys heard no vote, no grumble, right? Well, the guy said, why don't we change it to vote and then grumble? So anyway, I don't want to be one of those that just grumbles. I think I learned my lesson, and I want to be somebody who has solutions and will be able to do it. But I don't have all the solutions. You guys pretty much have them. So I thank you guys, thank you Terry, and all of you for being here tonight. The conversation obviously has to turn from conversation to what? To action, right? I'm tired of talking already, okay? This is campaign stuff. And actually, I don't even consider this campaign stuff. I think I know where you guys' hearts are. I know where my heart is. So once we get in, it's a lot of work. I was just telling my LG tonight, I said, brother, we ain't taking a break. Once we get elected, we're working, and you're never going to stop working. So, this is when we hit the ground running after this. This is actually the easy stuff right now. When we get elected, that's the tough spot. Because now we got to produce.
My question is, why aren't you able to speak on TV, such as combat, commercial against people, of course, and all this other stuff?
can only control so much. Now, I was gonna start this off, Terry had said, you go in front of the commission, you got three minutes, right? Well, I can do one better. I've done 16 forums and debates. You know what's the longest I've had? 2 minutes. So I got 2 minutes to say what I would have said tonight. That's why it's not on TV. Okay? So this is why we have events like this. So anyway, God bless you guys all. Thank you very much.
You gotta use those 4 people.
Oh, yeah.
Good for you.